Nervous about the world reopening? Nervous that other people aren't nervous in the same way that you are? This video's for you. Hello, welcome back to Learning Curves. I'm Anastasia, and today I want to talk about boundaries. The world is opening back up again. What you're comfortable with may not be the same things that I'm comfortable with, and we're going to have to maybe have some awkward or challenging conversations. So I want to talk about boundaries, and I want to talk about hard conversations. Now is really the perfect time to be talking about boundaries because not only do we need to set new ones as we're in different circumstances going back out into the world again, but we all just spent the last year acclimating ourselves to new rules and regulations and, world boundaries. I heard a woman who was being interviewed on NPR say, we've told ourselves no for so long that it still kind of feels wrong to be thinking about yes again. Totally get that. I've had people talk to me about experiences where they've been out in the world for the first time in a long time, and it, instead of being Nicolas Cage in Con Air stepping off the plane, it feels scary. It feels almost like leaving your protected space in The Walking Dead. So there are a lot of hard parts about this. First of all, we may not yet know what our boundaries are. It can be hard to know without going out into the world what we're going to feel like when we're out in the world. We're starting to interact with people we haven't seen in a long time, which is wonderful, but we don't know if those people are going to have the same concerns that we have. A lot of this, as you know, feels super political and polarizing, and saying, I'm not comfortable being around you if you're unvaccinated and not wearing a mask can feel like I disagree with your politics and think you're a terrible person. So the very idea of having a conversation about boundaries can feel overwhelming. So when it comes to boundaries, you can either have firm boundaries that you decide beforehand and share those with people ahead of time, or you can kind of be more flexible and sort of see as you go, and there are pros and cons to each of those. With firm boundaries that you set up front, you can tell people beforehand, here are the things we're okay with, here are the things we are not okay with. Clarify the rules of engagement up front, and then when you're actually visiting and interacting, it doesn't make for uncomfortable conversations then. It may make for an uncomfortable conversation up front, that's a con. And another con is people might forget what your boundaries are, or they may not take you seriously, or they might think that you've changed. It's not as immediate right now. In this moment, as we're visiting, I'm not okay with these things. Oh, also in the pros, you can make sure that people don't make plans that you're not going to be comfortable with, and then you're going to be disappointing them when you say, oh, hey, I'm not actually okay hanging out with a bunch of people unmasked that I don't know from different households indoors. So with a flexible see as we go boundary scenario, you don't have to have an uncomfortable conversation up front. Just as each instance comes up, you can say, here's what we feel comfortable with, or no, we're not going to go to an amusement park. There may be plans in place for something that you don't feel comfortable with. And that can make things uncomfortable and awkward, because what are you going to do? Not go or hide, like if it's at the place that you're staying. Really, I think the challenge of having these boundaries in general is that what I mean may not be what someone else thinks I mean. Social distancing means different things to different people. Personally, I think I'm going to do a combination of the two. I think that I'm going to say up front, here are the things that I know I am and am not comfortable with, and here are the things I'm going to decide during, but I may not be comfortable with. So I made a video a while back about honesty and consequences, and I rewatched it recently because I knew I'd have some overlapping content in this video, and it is so cringy. And not like my usual cringy, but like, uncomfortable cringy. I'm not gonna private it just yet as of the making of this video, so go check that out. I'll link it wherever I do that. But there are some pieces in there about honesty and why that's important, and you just got to get through the 15-minute video, and only like 2 minutes of it are about honesty, but a couple minutes in there are about having hard conversations, and that I'm going to reshare now. So when you're having your boundaries conversations, I very much encourage you to not consider those conversations confrontational. Do not consider it confronting someone. That feels really adversarial. It feels like two people against each other. And these are conversations where we want everyone to be comfortable. The golden rule of hard conversations is be respectful. Do not let go of being respectful of the other person at any point in time. It is important that no one get dysregulated. I talk about that in my video about feelings. I will link that as well here, I think. Is that the wrong side? Whatever. But it's important when you're asking someone to be respectful of you, that you are also respectful of them. So think of it as a conversation about, okay, what are you comfortable with and what am I comfortable with? Maybe start it with, hey, before we see each other, I know the world is changing. I know rules are different. I wanted to talk about the things that our house has been doing, what we're comfortable with, and the things that you're comfortable with, so we can make sure that no one is uncomfortable. And hopefully they will hear you in that. Why are my hands always weird? The tricky thing is, we often read what other people are saying as a reflection on us. I specifically want to talk actually about in-laws right now. My husband has one in-law, my mom. We lost my dad 10 years ago, so it's just my mom. And I have 4 in-laws. His parents split when he was really young and each remarried when he was really young, so he was kind of raised with 4 parents. So I am very lucky that I get along well with each of my 4 in-laws. But you know, anytime you have people spending time together for 3 days straight, it's a pressure cooker environment. It's gonna get uncomfortable at some point. You know, even if it's your favorite person ever, you cannot spend 3 solid days. And when people are visiting, you spend a lot of concentrated time together, and that is really challenging. It doesn't matter how close you are, there are gonna be challenges during that time. But I've learned a lot from these relationships with my in-laws. You know, after we bought our house, when they would come to visit, it was the first time that I was the homeowner, that I was hosting people, and I wanted to make them comfortable. I wanted to have food for them. I wanted to cook for them, and I want to prepare my home so that it's comfortable for them as best I can with children and pets. But every time they visit, they go grocery shopping and they end up cleaning. And in the beginning, I know, poor me, right? Poor me. But the first few times, I read that as they don't think I can cook, or they don't think my house is clean, which they're probably right about the second part. What I didn't understand at the time was, first of all, as the parents, that's always been their job, right? They've always been the ones who have been taking care of the home. I mean, maybe you had chores, but overall, they're the ones taking care of the home and they're the ones feeding you. And that was a gesture of generosity, you know, that all of it was, you know, acts of service. They were wanting to take care of us, wanting to do things for us. And once I understood that, it completely shifted my mindset. And I now am appreciative even more so of it, because I understand that the intent is really beautiful, not just the actual actions. So just like I thought that their kind actions of grocery shopping and cleaning were reads, I thought they were critiquing my own ability to host people in my home. They weren't. We have to be prepared. I have to be prepared that as I'm sharing my boundaries with people, there is a chance that that other person may feel like me saying, I want to be clear about my boundaries, could come across as, I don't think you're going to be respectful of my boundaries, or I don't think you're taking this seriously enough. So everything we can do to keep that conversation de-escalated, to keep us all open and vulnerable. Again, feelings video. I can't relink it, but it's in the description box. But I do recommend, when it does come to in-laws, especially if it's your parents and your partner has concerns about your parents, I do recommend the 2 of you, as much as possible, partnering up and being a united front, because you communicating your partner's boundaries to your parent like they're your collective boundaries for the 2 of you is a really big gesture of love. And your parent is going to be able to hear it better, hopefully, coming from you. If you say, you know, thank you so much for wanting to take us out to dinner. I really appreciate that. We are not comfortable going to dinner. Why don't we order and eat in the backyard? My plan is to sit down with my husband and make him tell me things he does and doesn't want to do. And what that's going to be is he's going to say, I don't know, I'm fine with everything. And I'm going to say, no, here are the things that I'm comfortable with and not comfortable with. And because he loves me, he will hopefully be a united front with me. And as we are visiting friends and family, we will, before those trips, share, here is who is vaccinated, here is who is unvaccinated. We wanted to let you know what our exposures have been. My husband's an essential worker and my daughters are in daycare. We are driving to our destinations, and I mean, I love a board game night at home. You know, in short, I want to say that asking someone to respect your boundaries can be a conversation of love. Can it be a positive conversation if you go at it knowing that they care about you and that you care about them, and making sure that it is a conversation and not a confrontation. So that's it. You can do it. You can do it. I'm going to do it. We're all going to do it, and it's going to be fine, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Please be gentle with yourselves. I do not want to mince words. We did just experience a collective trauma, and we need to be gentle with ourselves. This is a whole new world. Don't sing it, don't sing it, don't sing it. I'm excited to get back out there, but I know that we have to do it right. Otherwise, we're just going to end up being back in our homes. You know, we've waited this long. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like this video and please subscribe. I'd like for you to subscribe, please. Good luck out there. Stay healthy. I am with you in solidarity as we have these challenging conversations with our loved ones as we are going back out into the world. And good luck. Bye. I said that I'm just going to sit there and tell you, and this is my boundary, and this is my boundary, and you're going to be like, well, I don't care about any of that. And I'm going to be like, hey! And you're going to be like, fine.